G'day viewers, Phil here. Thought I'd spend this time with you guys talking about my medication since I started it last year. A couple of things to note, how long have I been on it and how I'm feeling. I'll get to that later because that is definitely the best part. Firstly, a bit of a rundown on the process of diagnosis. Where I live here in Australia, actually the state of Queensland, the sunny state. But it's pretty well the same around the country, and you may well find it the same in your neck of the woods, as it were, in your place. You first go to a GP, a general practitioner, family doctor, you might know them as, who then refers you to a psychiatrist and spends about an hour going through your life and how you're feeling, all the questions, trying to diagnose and sort out what is wrong with you, what ails you. And plenty ailed me, I can assure you. And then after that diagnosis, he writes a report. He then sends that on to a psychologist who, in my case, the psychologist worked in the same practice as the psychiatrist did. So it was like across the hall. And you book an appointment to see the psychologist. Now, when you go to see the psychologist, it's pretty full on. I think my time with him was a bit over an hour. And he sits down in front of his laptop and he just asks you a myriad questions. Like some of the questions he asked me, I didn't even realize he had to know, but he had to know. And so he plots it all in his computer and they come up with some type of graph that gives you 2 or 3 or 4 columns. I can't remember now, it was a while back now, but they give you 2 or 3 or 4 columns. And depending on how you rate out of 10 on each of those columns, gives the psychiatrist a lot of information on how he might treat you with what medication, and it goes from there. Now, I scored high 8s on a couple of my columns and a 9.5 on another column. And when he showed it to me on his computer screen, he went, you're right up there. You definitely have this issue. So then you go back to the psychiatrist and it's a very simple process. Then it's only about half an hour and he reads through the documentation if he hasn't already seen it. And then in my case, he said, well, I'm going to prescribe you Vyvanse. Now, Vyvanse, I don't exactly know what it is, but it's specifically an ADHD medication. There's a couple of others on the market. I believe dexamphetamine is another one, and I'm pretty sure that Vyvanse is another amphetamine type medication, but don't quote me on that. Now, the level I'm on, I believe there's 5 levels going from 20 milligrams, which is what I started on, right up to 70. I'm on 30 at the moment. They all have a different color. The 20 is beige, the 30 is pink, and that's the color of the capsule, I mean. And then they go up through the blue and sundry other colours. I don't know the other ones. And as I say, right up to the 70. I'm going to repeat this quite a few times throughout this video because I think it's important to note to everyone that I'm no doctor. I'm not telling you to go and get on Vyvanse. I'm asking you to go through the process. And as I've said in my past videos, if you want to take a look at them, you need to start the process. Get going. Ask someone to help you navigate the process. Don't ask someone for help because they've heard all those jokes. They're all helped out. But if you ask them to help you navigate the process, well, might well be that they'll, excuse me, help you to find a family doctor, general practitioner, and then guide you through that. Excuse me. Now, the pros and cons of this medication are quite extraordinary, and I'll start with the cons first. Suffered. I don't know whether I'd suffered. I mean, I've suffered with ADHD all my life. The two slight cons of this medication are neither here nor there. Firstly, a bit of dehydration, which I solve very, very easily by adding a electrolyte. There it is on the screen. Not sponsored. Into my first or second bottle of water in the morning. Little tablet. Drop it in the water, and away you go. I normally would have 3 to 5 litres of water a day anyway, because my system doesn't hold water very well, apparently. And secondly, I live in a warm climate where I live in Queensland, Australia. And, even in winter, it's still it can still be, 25, 26 degrees during the day. Bit of a joke about winter up here. It's people say, when was winter last year? And I'd say, I think it was on a Wednesday. It doesn't get very cool. At nights, maybe. Anyway, I'm babbling. And the second one, downside of this medication, and here again, it's not a major downside. I wouldn't say any part of this medication is a downside. I have seen on YouTube. I've read on the World Wide Web. There are some people out there that suffer badly from this medication. I am very, very fortunate that I haven't had any negatives apart from the dehydration and the one I'm about to mention now, which I found in the afternoons. I had a bit of a slump at about 2 o'clock. I normally take my meds at 6, and in most cases go back to bed for a half an hour or an hour and then wake up great. But I was having a slump in the afternoons, and I did a bit of research, and I found a product called creatine. Now, I don't know whether you've ever heard of creatine. I hadn't had much to do with it, by the way. Not sponsored, hopefully, one day. But it was used by weightlifters in the past, but recent research has found that it's good for your brain chemistry too. So I put between 10 and 15 milligrams into my morning greens water bottle with creatine and morning greens, which I'm still drinking during the afternoon, and that fixes the afternoon slump. Both the dehydration tablets and the creatine between 9 and 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and that seems to have sorted out the slump as well. So they're the only downsides to this medication, but I will tell you now the pros. Wow, here we go, folks. Strap in. I can only tell you that it has been the most dramatic shift in my consciousness in my entire life. I am a different person. There's a famous singer in Australia called Gautier, and he had a song called Someone I Used to Know. Well, that describes me. The old Phil was someone I used to know. I have no idea why I was that person for so long, obviously ADHD, but I don't know that person anymore. Excuse me. Everything's fixed. Everything's done. Everything is just different. I'll get big words here, diametrically opposed, 180-degree turnaround. My mood's better. I think clearer. I'm brighter. People say to me, Phil, you look good. I mean, that's partially due to the fact that I haven't had a drink for 5 months. So that's probably part of it. And I will say that Vyvanse instantly cured me of the booze, the alcohol. And that's where I am today. 5 months. It's actually 5 months tomorrow. Today's the 4th. Tomorrow is the 5th of January 2026. And wow, if I could if I could make a video and sit in front of you all and talk at you for an hour, I still wouldn't be able to explain the difference with every anecdote, superlative I know of. I still couldn't explain it to you. It's night and day. My anxiety, which I suffered from in the past, probably partially due to the alcohol, gone. No anxiety, gone. Depression, gone. In fact, I was on a fortnightly call with a psychologist, and she said to me the last time, which was about 5 weeks ago, she said, "When do you want to book the next appointment?" I said, "I don't." She said, "Why?" "I'm fixed. I've got no anxiety and no depression. It's all gone." So that's the difference this medication has made. Now, I will say again, like I said before, as far as the dehydration pills and the creatine, I'm not a doctor. Don't just start doing all the stuff that I'm doing and expect that it's going to work the same. I'm not suggesting you do any of that. That worked for me. Do your research. Dehydration pills, from what I can gather, are harmless to pretty well anybody, but check with your doctor. As far as creatine goes, check with your doctor. That's not me. I'm a retired builder, nowhere near a doctor. My medical intervention, in the future is a case of I will go back to my GP after my prescription runs out from my psychiatrist. And I'm not sure that I mentioned it. I went on to, I'm going to reiterate here, but I want to just say again, I started this medication on or about the 11th of August last year. And within a couple of days, I started on the 20 milligrams. Within a week, I went up to the 30 milligrams. Within a couple of days of being on the 20s, I noticed a difference. But I knew I needed a bit more. Once I got on the 30s, everything just fantastic. In fact, if you want to know more, just send me a comment. I'll try and extrapolate as best I can as to how good this stuff is. I know it's not the only one out there, but this worked for me. Am I labouring the point? As I say, medical intervention, when the prescription runs out with the psychiatrist, I believe I can now go back to my GP and he can resubscribe. He can't change the intensity, he can't change the dose or the duration, but he can continue with the same one. So I hope that helps a little bit with trying to understand the logic of the medication. So if this information is helpful, that's great, and that's what this channel is all about. But equally, I hope it's helped you. I like to think it's helped you. That's my job, to try and help someone. Imagine if I could help someone today. That would be wild. You might be able to help someone. Share this video with someone who you think might be struggling with the same issues, ADHD. And see if you can, as I say, just share it and hopefully they might learn something. Also, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. I hope there's someone out there watching. It'd be good if someone's learning something. Also, please like and subscribe. Helps me keep the information going. And hey, subscribing is free. So Thanks very much, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.